I used to think the scariest thing in love was betrayal, but it isn't. The scariest thing is when no one has done anything wrong, yet you still feel that something is deeply off. I'm 28. 3 past relationships have taught me enough to stop loving blindly. Then I met him. Gentle, stable, proper. The kind of man parents look at once and feel reassured about. After a year together, he had never made me cry. I started to believe that maybe this time, I had found the right person. The day I went to his hometown to meet his family, I barely slept. I carefully chose every gift, picked every outfit with precision. Long pants, modest top, no dress, nothing revealing, no mistakes. I didn't just want to be loved, I wanted to be accepted. The first dinner went smoothly. I helped clean up. I smiled just enough. I spoke carefully. Everything was perfect. I exhaled in relief until the next morning. All because of a pair of striped long pants and a t-shirt I wore to the market. His aunt looked at me. She didn't speak right away, just let her eyes travel slowly from head to toe. Then the sentence fell like a sharp cut. You should wear jeans when you go out, dear. I froze. It wasn't ripped. It wasn't short. It wasn't inappropriate. But it wasn't the right standard. I smiled. I apologized. I went back to the room to change. But when the door closed, I looked at myself in the mirror and for the first time I saw clearly. I was no longer a girlfriend. I was an exam. No one asked what I liked. I was only trying to score high enough. He defended me lightly. Then he said, "My mom is just a bit strict. We won't live together later, don't worry. Don't worry." But what worried me wasn't the idea of living together. It was how easily he brushed aside my feelings, as if they were small enough not to matter. I nodded. But inside, a scratch had already formed, and I knew there are things that seem very small, yet they quietly foreshadow something much bigger. A few months later, everything still seemed fine. My family liked him. He behaved properly. Both families started talking about marriage. Everything was moving along a very beautiful path. I began imagining a small house, dinners together, coming home exhausted, knowing someone was waiting for me. I thought I was only one step away from entering marriage. Then that night happened. We were taking a walk. It wasn't too cold. The air was peaceful enough that I wasn't on guard at all. I asked him, "After we get married, how will we manage our finances?" He answered immediately. No hesitation. No pause to think. "Your money is yours. Mine is mine. I'll contribute a fixed amount every month. The rest of the household is your responsibility." His voice was steady, as if he were talking about electricity and water bills, as if this were obvious. I smiled lightly, but inside my head, everything grew loud. "Your money is yours. Mine is mine. What about the days I'm exhausted? What about the times I'm no longer capable of covering my share?" He said, "Fixed contribution." Fixed. What part of life is fixed? Is childbirth fixed? Are accidents fixed? Is unemployment fixed? Is postpartum depression fixed? I looked at him. I waited for him to add something like, "But if you're struggling, I'll take care of it." He didn't. He continued explaining, very logically, that this way things would be clear, that this way no one would depend on the other, that this way it would be fair. Fair. I began to feel cold, because I realized that in his calculation, there was no variable called sacrifice. There was no line for the years I might have to slow down for the family. No space for the reality that one person may be weaker at certain stages of life. There was only his part, and my part. I didn't argue. I just stayed silent. But in that silence, something was tightening around me. If even before marriage he was this rigid, then after marriage, where would I stand when the big waves come? I'm not afraid of working. I'm not afraid of earning money. I'm afraid of one day collapsing and realizing that the person beside me is only fulfilling his agreed portion. He still held my hand as usual. And for the first time, I felt like I was walking next to someone very close yet impossibly far away. From that night on, I no longer looked at him the same way. Everything still seemed normal. He still texted me every morning, still asked what I had eaten, still drove me to work on weekends. But inside me, nothing was normal anymore. I started piecing everything together. The look in his mother's eyes that morning, her words, "We won't live together later, don't worry," and his tone when he talked about money, clear, precise, without a hint of hesitation. I realized something that made my heart tighten. He had never thought he needed to change anything. I was the only one constantly adjusting. I changed my clothes. I reassured myself. I swallowed the feeling of being evaluated. And now, I was trying to convince myself that maybe 50-50 wasn't so bad. But deep down, I knew I was afraid. Afraid that one day, after giving birth, I would be exhausted. Afraid that one day, if I lost my job, I would no longer have my share. Afraid that one day, during an argument, he would say, "I've already contributed my part. I don't need someone to provide for me, but I do need someone who sees my life as a shared responsibility, not an additional expense." I thought marriage meant two people standing on the same side, but with him, it feels like two people standing next to each other, each guarding their own boundary. I watch him smile and talk about wedding plans, and for the first time, I don't feel excited. I feel suffocated. I love him. I love him very much. But I'm starting to ask myself, if I had to choose between keeping him and keeping my sense of security, which would I choose? Because the scariest thing isn't breaking up. It's walking into a marriage and one day realizing you are alone inside your own home. I am standing at a boundary. On one side is the man I once believed was my safe harbor. On the other side is myself with my self-respect, my fears, my uneasy intuition. And for the first time in my life, I understand. Love alone may not be enough to get married. Are you marrying someone who contributes or someone who carries the weight with you? Choose, don't avoid it. Is 50-50 its fairness or a way to legitimize your responsibility? Would you dare sign a marriage that splits everything like a contract? Should modern women be absolutely independent? Or should men be ready to carry more when needed? Is love enough to marry? Or are you lulling yourself into comfort? Do you see him as practical or selfish? Be honest. If you lose your job tomorrow and he still sticks to his share, could you handle it? Is this a civilized mindset or a red flag disguised as logic? Would you choose to keep the one you love or keep your own sense of safety? Marrying someone who calculates everything from the start, smart or scary? Comment your perspective. Don't stay silent, because silence is also a choice. 50-50 it's as civilized. If civilized feels as cold as a contract, then maybe don't get married. If you want equality, accept splitting things in half. Equality doesn't always mean equal division. No one is obligated to support you. No one gets married to support themselves for life either. Being clear about money from the start is wise. Too much wisdom turns into calculation. You're afraid of 50-50 it's because you're not confident you can earn. No, I'm afraid because I might be left alone when I'm vulnerable. Marriage is cooperation, not one-sided sacrifice. If cooperation always starts with calculating your own share first, what is that called? If you don't like it, don't get married. Why create drama? Not getting married is exactly why I'm thinking. In this day and age, do you still expect men to carry everything? In this day and age, we should also acknowledge that women sacrifice more when having children. If you're strong, don't ask to be protected. Being strong doesn't mean not needing support when you fall. Each person spends their own money to avoid arguments. Arguing about money is still better than feeling lonely in a marriage. Being honest before marriage is respectable. Being honest without warmth is still a red flag. Men have the right to protect their assets. Then who protects a woman's youth and health? 50-50 it's is the only fair way. Fairness means dividing based on ability, not mechanically splitting in half. If the love is real, money won't matter. If the love were real, you wouldn't set boundaries beforehand. You're overthinking. If I don't think ahead, should I wait until I'm carrying everything to cry? No one owes anyone sacrifice. But if a marriage has no sacrifice, don't get married. Modern women must be financially independent. Independence doesn't mean isolation. 50-50 it's is the new standard. What if the standard is new but the heart is not? Don't turn him into a selfish man. Don't disguise calculation as being realistic. If he lost his job, would you carry him? Yes, but I wouldn't start the marriage from a defensive position. Asking to be protected sounds dependent. No, it sounds like needing security. If you don't live with your mother-in-law, what is there to complain about? Avoiding the mother doesn't fix the mindset. He has a clear financial plan, but that plan has no space for when I am weak. Don't romanticize marriage, but don't turn it into an Excel sheet either. You're just afraid of losing financial support. I'm afraid of losing emotional support. 50-50 it helps both people grow. Growing up doesn't mean becoming cold. If you don't agree, Just break up. Maybe I will. He only wants fairness. Fairness like my part is done. Women always ask for too much. Is asking for reassurance too much? Separate finances last longer. Separate finances can also separate responsibility. You're too emotional. If marriage has no emotion, what's left? He doesn't make empty promises, but he also doesn't promise to carry me when needed. 50-50 it prevents dependency, but it can create distance. You're looking for someone to provide for you. I'm looking for a partner. Men today have to think for themselves. Women today also have to think for themselves. No one wants to carry everything. No one wants to carry alone. You're worrying too far ahead. If I don't, should I wait until it breaks to wake up? Modern marriage must be clear-cut. Too clear-cut becomes cold. If you love, accept differences. Not when the difference is in core values. You're exaggerating. I'm looking at the long-term future. 50-50 it isn't wrong. Not wrong doesn't mean it's right for me. He's just being realistic. Reality without generosity is hard to live with. Don't ask for too much. Is asking for emotional safety too much? You're getting married, not signing an insurance contract. Yet it sounds exactly like a liability agreement. He's suited for someone extremely practical. I'm suited for someone who knows how to open their arms. No one is perfect, but core values must align. If you're scared, don't get married. Maybe that's true. If the love is strong enough, you'll overcome it. Love doesn't change core mindset. You're losing a good man. I'm more afraid of losing myself. 50-50 it is the trend. Trends don't determine my happiness.